Foundation Level Objective 4.2.3 K3. Use decision table testing to derive test cases. You will get a question about decision tables. First question: your favorite bicycle daily rental store has just introduced a new customer relationship management system and asked you, one of their most loyal members, to test it. The implemented features are as follows. Anyone can rent a bicycle, but members receive a 20% discount. However, if the return deadline is missed, the discount is no longer available. After 15 rentals, members get a gift, a t-shirt. The question is based only on the feature description of the customer relationship management system. Which of the above rules describes an impossible situation? The question is, does the decision table follow the instructions mentioned or not? And which of the 8 rules doesn't follow the instructions? There are 2 ways to solve this question. One is to go through the rules mentioned in the answer option and check whether they match the instructions guide. 2. The other thing I prefer is to go through each instruction and see if it is mapped correctly to the table. Anyone can rent a bicycle, but members receive a 20% discount. And, however, if the return deadline is missed, the discount is no longer available are applied correctly in the 20% discount row. After 15 rentals, members get a gift, a t-shirt, is applied correctly in R3 and R4, and is applied incorrectly in R8 as a non-member can't get a t-shirt. R8 is the one that we are looking for. Correct answer is D. Second question. The following decision table contains the rules for determining the risk of something I cannot pronounce. Then we have 5 test cases. We need to calculate the percentage of the coverage using the 5 test cases. To achieve full coverage, we need to cover Rule 1 to Rule 5 test cases. So what we need to do is execute each test case and see which rule does it cover. Then we see how many rules are covered and divided by 5 to calculate the coverage percentage. TC1. Cholesterol equals 125, Rule 3 or Rule 4. Blood pressure equals 141, covers Rule 4. TC2. Cholesterol equals 200, R3 or R4. Blood pressure equals 201, covers Rule 4 as well. TC3. Cholesterol equals 124, R1 or R2. Blood pressure equals 201, covers R2. TC4. Cholesterol equals 109, R1 or R2. Blood pressure equals 200, also covers R2. TC5. Cholesterol equals 201, blood pressure equals 140, covers Rule 5. So, the 5 test cases cover 3 rules out of 5, which is 60%. Correct answer is B. Third question. The decision table in this question shows 3 conditions, C1 to C3, 3 actions, and 3 rules. The dash in the rules represents doesn't matter, which means it could be either true or false. What test data will show that there are contradictory rules in the decision table? This is the first time I've seen such a question about the decision tables. I mean asking about contradictions in the decision table. I believe a contradiction could mean that a test case applied to more than one rule. Let's go through the test cases one by one. A. C1 equals T, so it's R1 or R2. C2 equals T, so it's R1. C3 equals F. No rule represents such test case. We have a problem here, but it's not a contradiction. Let's wait. B. C1 T, so it's R1 or R2. C2 RF, it's R2. C3 over T, yes, it's R2. No contradiction here. See? C1 equals true. C2 equals true. C3 equals true. This represents R1. And C1 equals false. C2 equals true. C3 equals true. This also represents R1. C1 equals false, which represents any rule. C2 equals false, represents R2 or R3, and C3 false, which also represent R2 or R3. Each rule of R2 and R3 has a different action, so there's a contradiction here as we will not know which rule to execute. Correct answer is D. Fourth question. You are designing test cases based on a decision table with 7 rules, and we have 4 test cases. The question is, which of the test cases, when added to the existing set of test cases, will increase the decision table coverage? So we need to map the existing test cases to the rules and then map the answer options and select whatever. Test case 1. 19-year-old unregistered man with no experience. This represents R2. Test case 2. 65-year-old unregistered woman with 5 years of experience. This represents R3. Test case 3. 66-year-old registered man with no experience. This represents R7. Test case 4. 65-year-old registered woman with 4 years of experience. This represents R6. So we covered R2, R3, R6, and R7. So we should look for test cases that would cover R1, R4, or R5. Let's look at each option. A. 66-year-old unregistered man with no experience. This represents R4. So this should be our correct answer. Let's confirm this with the remaining options. B. 55-year-old unregistered woman with 2 years of experience. This represents R2. Not needed. C. 19-year-old registered woman with 5 years of experience. This represents R6. Also, it's not needed. D. No additional test case can increase the already achieved decision table coverage. This is wrong as we have option A, which can increase the coverage. Correct answer is A.